Welcome to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK. Today I'm going to be showing you how to complete the first few rows of the new all meshed up summer wrap pattern. This pattern features an offset mesh which is completed doing a treble and a chain 1, as well as showing you how to complete the spike double treble crochet. So the yarn that I'm using today is going to be the paint box yarn in this lovely colour, which I think is Stormy Grey. Yep, it's 100% cotton and it's in a DK weight. So this pattern uses about 5 balls of grey, probably not 4 to 5 balls of grey and 3 balls of a contrasting colour. My contrasting colour is this lovely slate green. I absolutely love it, and it looks really, really effective together. So start by making your chain as directed by the pattern. If you haven't got your pattern, click the link below and it will take you straight through so you can get your copy. So I've got my 4mm crochet hook. I've got a pair of scissors for use a little bit later on when I'm cutting my yarn. So I'm just going to start by putting a slip knot onto my crochet hook. Pop that on there. I'll pop a link below on how to create a slip knot and do your chain as a separate video. So making sure that you've got your working yarn. We're going to start by doing the chain as directed in the pattern. I'm going to do a slightly smaller one just to save us a bit of time. So I'm just going to chain, how many am I doing? 1, 2, 3, 20. 4, 5, 6. There we go. I've got my chain of 20 here. Now normally I'd probably encourage you to work into the bump at the back of your chain, but right at the end of this pattern you are going to work in this chain again because it's worked the final round or final row is worked in the round, so you are going to need to work into that side as we finish. So the pattern asks for us to treble into the fifth chain from hook. Goodness, I can't talk today. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we are. So I'm going to work into that. So yarn over the hook, insert the hook into the top part of the chain. We're going to yarn over to bring up a loop, straighten that out. We've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, 2 loops remaining, going to yarn over again and pull through the next 2 loops. We're then going to chain 1. And we're going to skip this next chain and work into the next one. So we're going to yarn over, insert the hook into that next loop of the chain, yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over to pull through 2, yarn over to pull through 2, chain 1. And you can see that we're creating these lovely little boxes, and it's going to make our life a lot easier on the next row. So skip 1, work into the next. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over to bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1, skip the next chain and work into the next. Yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So just keep working all the way down your chain that you've made, and I'll meet you at the end of your chain. I've only got 2 more left to do, so I thought I'd join you here just to do these last 2. So treble into that next chain, chain 1, yarn over, and we're going right next to that slip knot for the very last one. If you haven't reached your slip knot to complete the last stitch, unfortunately you will need to double count everything, make sure you haven't missed any stitches or you've worked too many too close together or something like that, because this is, with any project, your foundation chain is the absolute most important row you will do. I'm really struggling to get that through, sorry, it's very tight this last bit. There we go. If you have any errors in this row, it will throw your whole pattern out. So if you haven't worked into that last chain just by your slip knot, obviously I'm sure you've worked your chain correctly, because you need to have a space in between each of your, that's particularly big, but it's not a mistake. You should have a chain that's not worked in between each of your trebles. So beginning row 2, we start by turning our work, then we chain 3, which counts as the first treble, and then we're going to work into this chain space right here. So we yarn over the hook and literally insert our hook through that hole, not through the stitch, straight into the hole. Yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2. So chain 1, yarn over, going into that next chain space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, chain 1. And we're going to repeat that the whole way down this row, all the way down to the very last chain space. So press pause, keep working through, chain 1, yarn over, working into that next chain space, making sure you're not doing any more than 1 into each chain space. And I'll meet you at the end. So working into this final chain space here, but to ensure we have the right stitch count, we're also going to treble into the 4th chain as well. So right at the beginning, we skipped the first 5 stitches, or the first 5 chains. So there's 1, 2, 3, number 4 is just hidden under there, but that's the one we need to keep our project nice and square. So just pop your hook through that nice and easily. There we go. And just do a last treble into that final chain there. So we're going to go into row 3 together. We're going to start by, I always chain first, but turn your work and then chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this chain 4 counts as your first treble and a chain 1. Because we're going to work into this chain space here, we need to get across that stitch there, which is the chain 1. So yarn over and insert your hook into that chain space here. Yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we're going to treble. We're then going to work into each chain space all the way along. Chain 1 in between each treble. It's a nice simple pattern repeat, but it's a nice effective fabric most definitely. So you keep going all the way along this row, placing your trebles into each chain space along, and I'll meet you at the end. So I've reached my last chain space. At the beginning of row 2, we did a chain 3 and then trebled into this chain space. So we're not going to work, there isn't another chain space to work into. So we've chained 1 and then we're going to do our final treble into the top of that chain 3 at the end of, or the beginning, or the end of this current row. So just yarn over, work into that top of the chain 3, getting 2 of the loops ideally, yarn over and pull through to complete that treble. And that's our 3rd row completed. And you can see it's a lovely simple design, but it's really quite effective. So go on to work row 4. It's exactly the same as you did for row 3. No, it's not. It's the same for row 2. So 4 equals 2. Row 5 is the same as the row we've just done. And then row 6, once again, is the same as row 2. Carry on making those rows and I'll meet you at row 7, ready to change colours and complete our double treble spike. So I'll see you in a moment. So I've just finished my 6th row and I'm getting ready to change to my contrasting colour. I'm using this lovely green here. So I'm just going to slip stitch to change colours. I'm just literally placing the colour over my hook, tail end at the back, bring it through, pull down on the mica silver colour and just tighten there. I'm going to leave those ends as they are, but I'm going to do my chain for the next row, for row 7, before I turn on this occasion. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. Just give that a little bit of a tighten again and just turn my work. Normally I would weave these ends in as I go, but because this is such an open fabric, I think it'll be quite obvious to see the colours coming through. So I'm going to weave those in at the end. So the pattern says to chain 3, which counts as our first treble, and then treble into the second stitch. So this is our second stitch here. So we're going to treble into there. So we yarn over, that's the second stitch. We're just going to insert our hook to the top of that stitch there. Yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. We're then going to double treble into the top of the treble in row 6. So this is row 6. Sorry, this is row 6 here. So we're going to treble into this row here. So we yarn over, and this is where we want to put our hook, into the top of this one here. So I'm just going to fold that out of the way, and then you can see the top of this stitch that we're going to work into. So for a double treble, we yarn over not once, twice. So double the yarning over, and we literally insert the hook into the top of that stitch, making sure we don't work over the row we're working into. Going to yarn over, bring that loop back up. So we've got 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. And this is what it looks like. I'll pop it down so you can see a little bit more clearly. So it's just double the height as this, but without changing the row height. So by working into this lower, it gives us a big detail change, so you can see it all the way down there. It then asks us to do 5 trebles across the next 5 stitches. So this is the next one. It's very, very careful not to work into that chain space. You're working into the top of that first stitch there. So insert the hook to do a treble crochet. Caught on my cotton there. That's number 1. I'm going to work into the chain spaces in between. Number 2, this is number 3, the top of the next treble. Into the next chain space for number 4. Top of the treble for number 5. And then we're back to doing another double treble. So yarn over twice. So we have 3 loops on our hook effectively. This is the treble that we're going to work into. So I'm just going to move that row out of the way, insert my hook through that treble there, yarn over, just bring that loop up. We'll have 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And already you can see that lovely pattern is forming all the way across. So, and then we're going to do 5 trebles into the next 5 stitches. So the next one is always into the top of the treble. And then I'm going to work into my chain space. This is number 2. Number 3. Number 4 into the chain space. Number 5 into the stitch. And then another double treble. So we yarn over twice. I do it so automatically. So once, twice. So it looks like we've got 3 loops on our hook. We're going for the top of the treble in the row below. So just fold the current row out of the way and pop your hook through that stitch. So you should have your 2 loops of your stitch. Yarn over to bring that loop up, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, and then finally pull through the last 2 loops. And just literally keep going across the whole way across. I think it's quite a number of times you have to do the spiked double, so you'll be very, very good at this by the time of the end of this row. So work that all the way along, and I'll meet you at the end of your row. So right at the end of your row, it asks you to do a spiked double and then the last 2 trebles. So I'm going to do that with you now. So do that final double treble together. So yarn over twice, fold that current row back and you'll see the top of that stitch there. Pop your hook through that stitch, yarn over, pull through two, pull through two, pull through two, and then we're going to do a treble into the top of this stitch here and again into the top of the chain 3 from the previous row. Oh, I will get my hook through there. Oh, I did. Wonderful. Pull through without catching anything else. There we go. Wonderful. So then you have 2 at this end and you've got your chain 3 and your 2 at that end as well. Wonderful. Let's go on to row 8. So for this row we simply turn and chain 3. So that counts as our treble. We're going to yarn over and literally work into every stitch across. So we just do a treble into each stitch all the way across this row. Again, it's quite a high number, which is why I'm working on a nice short one here for you. And then we're all the way back to starting. We do lots of row repeats. So let's have a look at that. Get my pattern up. Yeah, so this is, oh yeah, you've got row 9 as well. So I will quickly do this one with you. So nice and simply do a treble into each stitch across and I'll meet you at the other end. So I've reached the end of row 8. Just a little reminder to make sure you do your final treble into the top of your chain 3 from the previous row. Oops. We're then going to change back to shade A. Again, we can just simply join that, popping it over the hook, bringing it through. Just pull down on your green. Oh, it's a bit twisted. Joys of ends. There we go. It's going to tighten that by pulling the working yarn. And it asks us to chain 4. Okay, I'm going to turn my work. So that chain 4 counts as a treble and a chain 1 in that first stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch. We're going to work into the 3rd stitch. So we do a treble into that 3rd stitch. Then we chain 1. We yarn over, skip that stitch, work into the next one. And we simply do that all the way along. I'm sure you're very familiar with this pattern now. So chain 1, skip 1, work into the next. Do that the whole way along and you should finish with a treble into the top of your chain 3 from your previous row. And that's it. You just carry on, follow the pattern through the repeats that you need to be doing, all the way ready for the final row, which is, as I said, is worked in the round. I made a mistake. See, you should always concentrate. Chain 1, skip 1. There we go. Easily done. So that actually marks the end of our tutorial on how to complete all the stitches from the all meshed up summer wrap. Again, as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. You can message me on here, come on over to our Facebook group, or message me on Etsy as well if you want to. It's been an absolute pleasure going through these stitches with you. I can't wait to see your finished wraps, and I'll see you soon.